Our mission is to really provide the education and materials that people need to be able to grow food for themselves, so increasing access to healthy food. And we also want to increase economic development in the community here, and really just create this as a community space, and in that regard also increase the capacity, increase the networking and relationships and the ability of this community to be resilient.
I think Las Milpitas is a great model for us at the food bank. It's sort of one of the first experiences we have really partnering with the community in a different way, where the community really expresses their needs, their vision, and the food bank becomes really sort of a convener and facilitator of that vision.
The farm isn't just good for growing food and getting local organic produce into the hands of people who may not be able to afford it or access it. It's about building community. It's about having a safe and green space for people to come to, for people to meet each other, for people to form stronger bonds, a deeper sense of community, to recognize that their community is sort of maybe more encompassing than they thought. There might be a broader diversity of members in that community than they thought.
You know, organizing around food is a really sort of easy jumping off point to have much larger conversations about not only what do we want our access to food to look like, and what does food justice mean for us, but what does justice in general mean for all of us.
We were approached about 3 years ago by City High School to partner with them and really sort of continue to support the work they were doing in the area. Well, we decided to really invest in talking to community folks, to the neighbors, really getting a sense from them, you know, what kind of a place they would want, what kind of a space they would want.
Pues nos invitaron cuando recién se iba a empezar aquí el jardín. Pues a mí me gustó la idea porque yo trabajo como promotora en la comunidad y me gustó y desde entonces aquí estamos.
Well, I drove by it. I rented a house down the street, and that's one of the reasons I rented the house, was I saw the community garden was right there. And so the first day that I moved in, I came down to meet the people. I've been involved in community gardens before, and I knew that that's the best way to get to know your neighborhood, and that's where you're going to find the people that you really want to know in the neighborhood.
I started with the Gardeners program at the Community Food Bank. What it is, the Gardener program helps you build your garden at your home. So, and it's all for free. They do it for you, irrigation system and everything. But in order for them to do that, you have to be involved in other gardens beforehand. So you help build other gardens before you get your garden built. And with that, you get all the experience, and by the time you get your garden, you already know what's going on. You're not lost. You've already taken the classes. So it all started where I was going to get a big garden at my house, but then I came across Milpitas and I said, well, I prefer the involvement with other people than just at home.
Nos llegó un volante a la casa y para invitarnos a que viniéramos a conocer aquí cuando apenas empezaba Las Milpitas, y venimos la primera vez que estuvimos aquí, pues no había nada.
Then we set up a series of visioning sessions with community members. And for example, the name Las Milpitas de Cottonwood, I think, reflects that process. It's, you know, sensitive to sort of the culture of the area. Milpitas, you know, representing sort of small farms, the idea of small farms in Spanish, which also reflects sort of some of the community members that live in the area. And then Cottonwood, which reflects sort of how the place used to look like, with large cottonwood trees and you know, a beautiful place where people would walk and spend a lot of time there. So the whole process really engaged the community that way.
We broke ground in April of 2011, and really started redigging all of the beds. We now have 85 beds, but that first season I think we had 33 or 32.
It varies from season to season how many people come and garden, and then it sort of varies based on how many beds we have available. Some beds are kept under cover crop for a season or two so the soil can rest and regenerate, and we sort of work that through, so it changes, it varies season to season.
We ask that people help offset the cost of water for the plots, and we ask that people stay on top of their plots, that they harvest regularly, they check for pests, they let us know if there's anything that we should be aware of. And then there's this whole group of people, a lot of them here right now, that have like sort of stepped up above and beyond what we ask and have gotten really, really involved in helping move the vision of this farm forward.
The soil is really great here. There's no question in my mind why the previous inhabitants of this land chose to grow their foods along this Santa Cruz. So it's very rich. The compost is here. There's a group teamwork environment. Basically all the tools except for self-motivation and the amount of labor that you would have to provide yourself, everything else is here.
It's a historical land. Our ancestors used to garden here thousands of years ago, so we kind of just carry on that legacy of gardening and communal gardening in this area.
Place for people to come and learn about growing food here in the desert. A central place for people to be able to come and gather. So I think it's just a good place for people to come and learn and share what they already know and learn more about things that they don't know.
On the formal front, we provide workshops. We actually coordinate with the garden team, the garden program at the food bank as well, and some of their workshops that they in the past have only offered at the food bank are offered out here. But in addition to that, at the beginning of each season we do an orientation and a workshop that's specific to Las Milpitas. Informal, I mean, there's peer-to-peer education that's going on an ongoing basis. You know, and I think that's the beauty of the farm, is that the more people are learning, whether it's from us or just from working in the plots, the more they're able to share with each other their successes and some of their failures.
I love having, you know, having the support of the staff, their guidance, all of their information, their knowledge. I just feel totally supported, you know. I know I can get answers to my questions, and so I love that about it.
I have kind of stepped into this role of being a bridge between different people, especially now that I'm working with the food bank. Before that, I've had a long time being here, and I know a lot of my fellow gardeners. I have kind of stepped into this role of bringing people together and like bringing information to people that maybe from the food bank that they weren't getting before, and just trying to be a bridge and help the community grow too.
And so the process ever since has been one where, you know, there's a community organization that was formed at Las Milpitas, and really ongoing communication with them around, you know, this is what we know you guys want, and these are sort of the options that we can, the support we can provide at the food bank. So it's been I think a really healthy process for us, and one that I think is having an impact beyond Las Milpitas, you know, across the board at the food bank.
Yeah, I think that there's a community at Las Milpitas, and I felt that a lot at the last fun day that we had. The first Sunday of every month is a fun day, and it's to come and not talk about business and just hang out and enjoy working in your plot and being around other people who are doing the same. And it was almost a sense of family. It was really nice. So yeah, there's community being built. I think that you know, the range of who's included and involved in that community needs to continue to grow, and it is growing. You know, building community just takes time, but it's there, and it'll only get better with time.
Por ejemplo, tengo una niña de 7 años y pues para nosotros es muy importante porque ella viene y ella está aquí directamente con la tierra, con las gallinas. Ella agarra las gallinas, los huevos. O sea, son cosas que que está conectada directamente con la naturaleza y eso pienso yo que es bueno para ellos, ¿no?
My dad really likes the fact that I'm here because I get good information, trustworthy. Sam and I are we're getting pretty close living together, and so it's kind of like the little bonding time that we have, though, because we're really busy. We can do it over gardening, and
I think it's really opened up my world. It's really opened up my world in people, because we're so quick to judge. You know, it's really opened up my eyes working here.
Well, from being involved at the farm, I just recently got a job through City High School, and I'm about to start an AmeriCorps position with them for a year. So my involvement at the farm has led me to that. So
before I started working at the farmers market, I started working with the youth farm project here at the farm, and it was a very nice experience. I was a volunteer. I wasn't getting paid, but it was a nice experience. I loved working here. We went to other people's house, installed projects, water cisterns, chicken coops. We even began their own plots for people, working with our teens my age and talking about food, and not just food, but like gardening and the environment.
Pues que nos ahorramos lo que comprábamos en la tienda, pues ahora no, aquí lo tenemos en Las Milpitas, que no lo compramos.
I like knowing that the food that I've contributed to help growing is not going to be wasted. And so the accessibility to that food bank farmer's market close by is a great asset.
Una le da beneficio al cuerpo porque hace un ejercicio con la pala y el talacho. Mantienes el cuerpo. Y el otro beneficio es el sembrar y ver cómo nacen las plantas y empezar a cuidarlas. Y cuando empiezan a florear, como la sandía que empieza a dar guías y luego ya las flores y la bolita, y entonces uno ya empieza a vislumbrar los frutos que vienen y ya empieza uno a pensar, oh, qué rica va a estar esa. Es un beneficio de deleitarse con algo que le gusta a uno mucho, como la sandía. A mí me gusta mucho la sandía.
I think it's very important. It's been very fulfilling. I didn't think I'd get as much enjoyment as I have found from growing things and seeing what I have accomplished with my own hands. And I just think it's a good thing overall to keep the love of growing, because the need of food is tremendous.
He hecho muchas amistades
para no
aquí.
perder también la tradición de lo que es, donde viene uno.
La cultura, donde vive uno.
Sí, porque hay mucha gente que no se olvida de eso, ¿no? De las culturas. Y así, ¿no? Estamos siempre, me gusta.
Mucha gente que pierde la tradición, la cultura, de como antes era las familias sembraban. Y era una forma para una comunión para la vecindad, para los vecinos, para la familia. Si no, ellos hacían alguna siembra de algo y otros de otro y se compartían. Y así eso se ha perdido con el tiempo. La importancia, lo importante de comer, lo que es comer saludable. Mucha gente ya eso no saben ir al mandado, no saben lo que es una planta, lo que es comer saludable.
The trust, the gates are open, people can come, they pay a price for that trust. Every now and then something is going wrong, but contrast that with concertina wire and pit bull dogs to keep others out. This is a unique and special place and run that way.
So I think part of the struggle has just been communication, having this be a multilingual farm and not everybody here speaking all 3 languages. Just figuring out how to really facilitate communication amongst all of the gardeners with the language barriers that do exist.
I think it's natural to encounter some challenges. I think gardening is a learning process. So just like, for instance, dealing with pests.
There might be some pest problems initially when the plantings are fresh and new is when they're most vulnerable. But this is the environment that we're at. So all steps have been taken, including a barrier fence and traps put out. And I believe that this last year there has been less damage than the previous year. And so for that reason, there's been progressive improvements with that particular challenge. And it's unified.
A number of the people that we work with are low income, so they may not have internet access to receive emails. They may not have a phone that's on all the time to receive phone calls or text messages. And so communicating what's happening at the farm and communicating education-wise can be difficult in trying to actually just get a hold of them. So, and we do our best to communicate with each plot manager based on their capacity.
Knowing that we all have access to organic, fresh produce, here in this area there's not a store that really offers that. You would have to travel a fair distance, and then it's extremely cost prohibitive. But also, I would say the sense of community that's developed as a result of this farm. A lot of people talk about how they never really saw themselves as part of a neighborhood or a community, and in coming together and learning to garden together and then starting to have conversations about what their lives look like here and what their dreams are for what their lives could look like. I think that's been a real power of this particular space. It's people coming together and starting to see themselves as part of something larger.
We're trying to make a hard choice by finding opportunities and creating an opportunity for youth to come and stay out of that norm where you're going from the rail to jail, you know. We want to stay out of that mind frame, and we want to provide opportunities and new ways of living. And this may be one of those ways that we can learn to grow together and learn to find more opportunities together.
And I've noticed the growth in myself. And I used to be afraid to come here. Even though I had a plot, I used to be really afraid to come because I was afraid of meeting other people. Because I was in my little world, you know. I never went outside of my home except to maybe water my plants or feed the animals, but I didn't talk with anybody. And doing this, it's taught me to reach out to others.
Some just come, I guess, to enjoy the scenery, but most people come with a motive to learn something and take it back home. And that's why Las Milpitas is a bigger impact than on the bigger community than on this small community.
A través de Las Milpitas nosotros no nos conocíamos como vecindad, como vecinos, no teníamos comunicación. Y ahora que hemos estado haciendo eventos o que gente que tiene sus parcelas aquí, nos conocemos más y sabemos que somos de aquí de la misma vecindad y que nos ha ayudado a tener comunicación entre nosotros.
And we also have a group here that works when we're here with the farm, but we also work together to improve the streets and the neighborhood around us. And that group actually began with a farm.
The community group is sort of a core group of individuals who have been involved for a while at the farm and are actually interested in kind of taking on some more leadership and really looking at other issues that extend beyond the farm as well. And there's definitely relationship building that has happened there.
Yo me siento muy afortunada de vivir aquí en este neighborhood porque tenemos Las Milpitas y siento que es parte de nosotros, yo la siento como si fuera mía. Vengo y siempre me gusta cuidar aquí porque siento que es parte de nosotros.
just the fact of meeting all together and getting to know each other, getting to know each other's struggles too, getting to know what's going on here in the neighborhood, different things. Then all of a sudden we're not just gardeners that see each other at Las Milpitas. We're also people who know each other and people who care about each other and that are meeting and thinking of these ways to be in support with each other and trying to work on that. And then through that we gain confidence, we gain different skills of like facilitating meetings or like door knocking, outreach things. I feel like there's a lot of us who would say we've been able to gain those gained a lot from being here.
Yeah, I've definitely learned some things here at the farm just by growing plants and growing food. I work with a lot of people as well, and I feel like plants and people have a lot in common. We're all going to keep growing. We all have our own personalities, but the thing is we all grow together, and that's what makes a garden beautiful. You can't have a garden with just one plant and expect to find a variety of results. You know, you have to kind of reach out and see what's out there and what grows best. And that's kind of how I feel people can be too at the same time. They work together, and then little did they know they grow together and they start companion planting. So I feel like people kind of work the same way. We work together. I feel like we can grow together as long as we have that space, you know. We can't just put a kid in a program and expect them to have a positive result. You know, we have to set up the conditions for a good program for them to have a positive result. Same thing with the seed, you know, we can't just throw a seed on the ground and expect it to grow. We have to actually set up the conditions for a plant to seed. We have to toss soil, we have to make compost throughout the year and add all the nutrients. And I feel like we're in that direction now. We're actually setting up a program where we can have a sustainable, positive place to come where we can, you know, teach kids how to garden, teach them how to interact with people. But at the same time, we're learning life lessons to carry on.
It brings people together. It opens their eyes. It opens their world to new adventures, to new learnings, new teachings, and it also teaches you camaraderie and responsibility. And it teaches you how to rely on others, where we don't do a lot of that. You know, there's not a lot of reliance. People think that they're the only ones that can do it. They're the only ones that can take care of themselves. There's nobody else out there to help them. But on the contrary, there are a lot of people out there that are willing to help and reach out if you just give them the chance.
De aquí fortalecer otras partes o reforzar a alguien que quiera hacer lo mismo que hacen aquí. Claro que sí. Se les asesora y se les dice y se les guía y se les enseña cómo y lo hacen. y ya serían otras milpitas en otro lugar. Sí se puede.